Well, a new report from Onyx Impact is sounding the alarm, saying there's a nationwide effort to erase and twist Black history, health education, and even our economic progress. In just the first 8 months of 2025, investigators found over 15,000, almost 16,000 incidents from data disappearing and budgets getting slashed to pressure on people and institutions to just stay quiet. All while $3.4 billion in grants and research for Black communities, entrepreneurs, and even HBCUs have been slashed. Onyx Impact founder Esosa Osa joins us now to explain their findings. Now, 155,000 incidents within just 8 months. What kinds of actions are we talking about?
Absolutely. Esosa Osa, as a founder of Onyx Impact, what we are, I think you laid that out so wonderfully. What's seen happen in this country this year is outrageous, right? And the Blackout Report by Onyx Impact is by far the most comprehensive analysis that has been done this year on what this attack has meant for Black communities. Our $3.4 billion is such a large number, but what that actually means, right? We're talking about $70 million in grants that are supposed to prevent Katrina-like flooding in Black communities, right? We're talking about $31 million in cuts that are supposed to address asthma rates and air pollution in communities where Black kids have higher rates of lung conditions because of the neighborhoods that they grow up in. We're talking about nearly $10 million cut in sickle cell grants for this country. My little brother suffers from sickle cell disease, right? And to the idea of saying, of using this smokescreen of the term DEI as a rationale to eliminate needed funding in rare diseases that disproportionately impact Black communities, right, is unacceptable and needs to be called out. And that's why we released this report.
So I'm reading here, it says that there's 3 disinformation tactics to erase, distort, and suppress. Can you go into detail about that?
Yes, absolutely. We go through, so much of this strategy is again, cloaked in disinformation. Their real strategy, again, this attack, using attacks on DEI as a smokescreen to erase Black power and control and gain illegitimate power and control, right, across the country. And so we wanted to give folks a framework for how to think about this. We see efforts to erase our history and our data, right? Everything from deleting things on websites to Black book bans to restricting what students can learn, restricting knowledge in America to distortion, hiding and deleting whole data sets of information of Black folks, right? And suppressing, make this mass chilling effect that we have seen revert around not just media, but education, with the level of capitulation that we have seen in just a few months from the institutions that are supposed to uphold and be the driving forces of American democracy have all, we've seen so many of them cripple and fall when it comes to protecting Black communities. And so by using this framework, we wanted to make it extremely clear that what these tactics are, how we should be talking about these tactics. Instead of debating a term, we need to call out the underlying strategy, because when they erase the data, they hide the proof, and then they can prevent the remedy.
I want you to explain exactly the Onyx Impact and what it is that you guys do.
Yes, Onyx Impact. We are a research and digital innovation hub that is focused on amplifying Black voices, fighting information threats that harm Black communities, and empowering Black communities into the future. So we do both research and programming, and really are about uplifting truth and Black voices moving forward.
You know, in your research and, stories we've covered, we've seen books banned, DEI offices cut, and history lessons just watered down. So from your research, do you expect this to get worse?
We expect it to get worse because it is their stated strategy, right? This is, and we are one research team, right? They are an entire federal government that is doing this every single day, and that the effects on the state and local level every single day are so profound. And so while so many folks are paying attention to a culture war nonsense, right? This is not a culture war, it is a power grab. And they are wreaking havoc on Black communities to an extent that we have not seen since Reconstruction.
What do you think people can do to start fighting back?
Well, first, we've got to make sure that we understand what is going on. We cannot respond to a bad faith argument with good faith answers and facts. We have to understand that they are using this term DEI as a smokescreen to erase Black power, to seize illegitimate control, and call out those tactics as when they come up, call out those tactics in the community. And when they need proof and evidence, that's where this report comes in. We have 15,723 distinct examples of harm to Black communities perpetrated by this disinformation campaign. So folks can use this report, understand the tactics, submit more evidence via the website blackoutreport.org, and make sure that they are speaking out in their communities to push back against this, not just the rise of authoritarianism, but how it is affecting Black communities specifically, how it is affecting our jobs, our wealth, our opportunity, right? This is not just about rewriting the past. It is about shaping who has power, who has resources and visibility in not just America today, but into the future.
Let's bring in our panel. Let's bring in Matt Manning and Dr. Greg Carr and also Michael. Matt, let's just start with you. When you hear that more than 15,000 incidents of data erasure and censorship have been found in just 8 months, what's your response legally to that?
I mean, my response to that is it's abhorrent that you're trying to remove history and such an important history here in the United States. But what I wanted to ask Esosa, that I think is really a brilliant thing. I saw your methodology. It makes perfect sense to me. But I'm interested in seeing what you think that means for a larger kind of phenomenon outside of the things that are not represented in your data set. And the reason I'm asking is on the local level where I live, they've been fighting book bans forever. That might not be represented in every little city, every little county, but I'm seeing it, when I look in the newspaper, that there's Mothers Against Liberty fighting book bans and trying to stack the deck with the board and that kind of thing. So I'm interested in your thoughts on how you can extrapolate from the data you got, what you think those phenomena are looking like on an even lower level, the local, city, county levels.
Yes, absolutely. I think, we included as much state and local data as we could, but knowing that so much is dependent on what is reported and right. Whether or not people recognize and understand what these tactics are, right? Because they are not going in there and saying, "Hey, we would like to remove all the books by Black authors."
Correct.
But that is what is the result of these actions. And think about what the real fear has to be to decide that restricting knowledge about Black history is the best way to educate our children, right? What is that going to mean and look like? And so I think when we extrapolate this onto the state and local level, what we see is it actually being able to happen more quickly, right? and to your point, taking strategies we've seen happen for a very long time that just get hyper fueled by a broader federal administration, right? That is pushing, being such large proponents of these actions.
If you'd indulge, can I ask one more question?
Of course.
Okay, sorry. Very quickly. So is your data something that can be searchable by state or by locality so that people can see precisely what kind of grants you found were applied for, other things in their specific area, and try to push back?
So some of the data is definitely searchable by state. You can, when you go to blackoutreport.org, or you can go to our website onyximpact.org, it'll take you straight to the report. There are plenty of links to the actual data set where we break all of this down. And so the grant cuts and things, absolutely, you can see exactly where those are in the database. But broader general book bans, things that are not necessarily state specific, will not have a specific state next to it. But we're trying to provide as much data as possible, even though
Thank you.
apparently only one side is.
Dr. Carr, what's your response to the report?
Oh, thank you for that, Brittany, and it's good to see you again, Sister Esosa. Thank you for the work that you all are doing. Of the two areas, the data, of course, probably should be, as you are walking, explaining this, probably the most concerning. We saw that they got rid of the sister, Carla Hayden, who headed the Library of Congress, replaced her with a hack, Todd Blanche. I think that's Trump's lawyer, the one who went down and met with Maxwell. But Library of Congress controls the Copyright Office. I've had a lot of colleagues being concerned about AI and them now having access to that and training AI on data that they can just maybe figure out how to get access to in the Library of Congress. In your report, and here's where my question comes, I thought it was very astute in the What's Next section. Raise public awareness, which of course you're doing right now. Identify and report when you see these things, kind of following what Matt was raising in terms of if you see it, report. And y'all have got a nice mechanism for reporting there to Onyx. And those accountability standards, I thought was very important. Hold this mass news commercial media responsible. I want to ask you about how we can fight back by continuing to do what we've always done in terms of supporting our institutions, our HBCUs, our community, gathering our community stories, not so much protecting the data, but kind of doing what we did during segregation. When you think about Black History Month, the black K-12 schools did it all the time. We saw Mackenzie Scott gave $63 million today to Morgan State and to the Black Preservation Trust to kind of support that. And the University of Virginia became the 5th school today to tell Trump, we're not signing a compact, my friend. How important is it for us to support those institutions that are doing this work despite this kind of attempt to colonize information, colonize memory, colonize data?
I think that's such a powerful point and question, because that is the only way that we have seen any of this work, right? That is the only way that we have seen effective pushback in not just our own country's history of the liberal governments being brought to power, but in other countries as well. We have to. They are going to mercilessly attack our institutions, right? That is not only how they destroy our history, but they destroy our access to power. They will destroy our ability to what they believe is our ability to organize, right? But we have seen over and over and over again that Black folks can come together, can support our institutions, by ourselves, right? We've been able to over and over and over again show the power, the strength, the resilience necessary to push back in a very successful manner. And so, regardless of how many books Black authors they ban, regardless of how many data sets they delete, they erase, Black excellence is unerasable.
I want to continue talking with the panel about what this report shows. Michael, if you don't mind, what kind of long-term harm does this create when accurate data about Black communities disappears?
All right, and I'm gonna have to get Esosa on the African History Network show as well to dig deep into this. But this is devastating. Now, the work that I do, I have been warning African Americans specifically about Project 2025 going back to 2023, and these attacks that she enumerated here are laid out in Project 2025. So when we talk about the attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion, a lot of times African Americans will retort with a article from Black Enterprise magazine saying that African Americans only got 4% of the DEI jobs. But you don't understand how this impacts programs. Here on Roland Martin Unfiltered, we talked about there's a $37 billion minority program for business owners, and how African Americans were getting even a small part of that, but that's been wiped out. When we look at this, we saw the Environmental Protection Agency cut out $1.7 billion in grants. Many of those grants were benefiting the African American community, dealing with climate change, things of this nature. They keep using DEI as the reason to eliminate these grants. They say that they're discriminating against white people, but no court has ruled that DEI is illegal. So, but this, one of the excuses that they say is that it doesn't fall in line with the Trump administration, right? We saw that on day one in office, after Donald Trump got a Negro preacher from Detroit, right, to mangle Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech. Donald Trump revoked Executive Order 13985, I think it was. And this was from Biden-Harris, which laid the foundation for equity in the federal government in the Biden-Harris administration, right? So we see a total reversal of these programs. And another thing that they use is the Supreme Court ruling from 2023 that dealt with affirmative action in college admissions, okay? So on Donald Trump's second day in office, he revoked Executive Order 11246, which was affirmative action signed into law by President Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1965. As racist as Ronald Reagan was, he didn't revoke that executive order, but Donald Trump did it his second day in office. So as Nicole Hannah-Jones, who spearheaded the 1619 Project, she wrote a in-depth piece for the New York Times back in June 2025 called "How Trump Upended 60 Years of Civil Rights in 2 Months." They basically wiped out 60 years of civil rights progress as well as social justice progress, right, in the past few months. But all this is laid out in Project 2025. So one of the things that we have to do is have a deep dive into how is it that they put this 922-page document in print, sold it, disseminated it, but so many African Americans were dumbfounded and caught flat-footed. We have what a lot of people don't understand is that the Heritage Foundation has been putting out their policy playbook called Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, for over 40 years, going back to 1981 during the first Reagan administration. And they put it out each election cycle. Project 2025 was the latest version of Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. You have to understand how long these people have been planning something like this. And going back to the previous segment, when Dr. Greg Carr was talking about expanding presidential powers, that's the Unitarian executive theory that Russell Vought expounds on and pushes. And Russell Vought is the architect of Project 2025. He served as the ombudsman in the first Trump administration. All this stuff was planned. So when we have Black social media disinformation agents lying to our people, when we have all these Black people walking around with a smartphone but dumber than ever, we have to do a deep analysis on how the hell did they play in our face, lie to us, say Trump didn't know anything about it, and 48% of Project 2025 has been put in place in the past 9 months based upon the Project 2025 tracker.
Dr. Carr?
I mean, everything Mike said tracks. I mean, it's an interesting line in the Onyx report. And of course, as we know here, this is the second major report that Esosa Osa and her team have put together. One was on disinformation, which we should have been paying a whole lot more attention to, given the fact that we ended up with this guy back in the White House. But they write in the report, this is not a culture war. It's a disinformation-fueled power grab. If allowed to continue unchecked, it threatens every American's access to the truth today and to equitable possibilities in the future. What they really are trying to do is displace the concept of truth and facts. And once you do that, all bets are off. I mean, this is the constant lies. I stopped 7 wars or 8 wars. You're doing better. The tariffs are big money. This is our money we're talking about. So what it is a power grab to capture the state. They don't want to destroy the state. They want to run it. Take our tax monies away from us, give it to who they want, their billionaire friends mostly. And then when we want to do something for ourselves, remember the Sisters in the Fearless Fund? The Fearless Fund was giving out money. They went to court, sued them. They settled before they could finish. This is where I would say we have to move in this way. As we were talking with her, we got to support our institutions. These companies aren't advertising with the Black Star Network. We support the Black Star Network. We continue to fight that truth. Larry Ellison and them trying to buy Warner, trying to buy CNN, and trying to buy HBO, making an overture with Alphabet and Google through buying social media. Guess what? TikTok. That's all right. We have institutions. We can fund our institutions. We got to fight them over this battle for truth, because if they get rid of the concept of truth, and that's what they're doing right now, remember, all bets are off for everybody in this country.
Matt, do you have any advice for people and organizations who would like to take legal action?
Yes, an interesting question. So let me first say that I'm so glad Doc mentioned about truth and the loss of truth, because that's been one of my big concerns with AI. And I think that AI and just our general loss of understanding and what is truthful and what is not is just going to be exacerbated as we go forward. So one of the things I would say outside of the legal realm is just be discerning, critically, think critically about what you're seeing and whether that information actually tracks, and vet it. And I guess to that second, your actual question, I don't know. I don't know first what the Supreme Court's going to do, because the Supreme Court is just rubber stamping everything we see come out of the White House these days, and that's extremely problematic, right? And I say, if you were to bring an equal protection claim or some claim predicated on the idea that people in certain communities that are non-white have the same access to government funds, like Dr. Carr said, that's our money, right? Our money that should be going to asthma programs or sickle cell programs, and especially sickle cell, because as the Onyx report indicated, 90% of the people affected by the loss of money are Black people. So that is functionally taking away money from Black people as a discrete group, right? And if you compared that to maybe Jewish people or people that carry other genes that are highly prevalent in their particular ethnic group, if those maladies, like the BRCA gene, for instance, are funded fully, then you might have a 14th Amendment claim where you say, as a Black person with sickle cell, I'm being divested of my opportunity to seek government funds that affect my, ability to be healthy. I think there's going to obviously be a lot of different permutations, but I can envision it that way, because what it comes down to is we should be able to be fully present and fully active in the society and take benefit of all the things that are supposed to be there for us to avail ourselves of. And if this government is actively, taking away money from Black people and programs that not only environmentally and incidentally affect Black people, but like sickle cell affect us 90%, then that is proof positive that they're intending to give us a different ability to participate as citizens than other groups of people. And I think there may be a legal basis there, but that's all predicated on the federal appellate courts, the Supreme Court doing the right thing and finding that this is discriminatory. And I don't know that we can trust them these days to do that.
Also, you can support the African History Network through PayPal and Cash App. We have the information right on the homepage of my website. If you scroll down, $ the AHN show through Cash App, and through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. This is our Cash App. Tag $ the AHN show, SHOW. When you go to it, it'll say Michael and show my picture there. Okay, these are some fake African History Network Cash App accounts that have been stealing money from us. And I put our tag right here. Here's our link to our Cash App, QR code. Okay, so you can support us there. If you want to donate support us 5, 10, 15, 25, 50, $100, whatever it is. It definitely helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, pay some of the bills, and broadcast the Sunday night show also. And here's our link for PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay. All right. So look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.